Okay, guys. So we kind of talked about what modes are in the last video, and if you have questions about any of this stuff, you feel free to email me at alanhines.com. I'm sorry, alanhines@mac.com. But here's the cool thing. Let's start getting into why modes are cool and how they're usable. Um, they're cool in that you can look at a chart. If you know the modes and you know like the 2 chord of D is E minor, and you know the 3 chord of A is C sharp minor, and you know the 5 chord of B is F sharp dominant 7 or whatever, it gives you the inside scoop as far as like what notes to play when you get a chart thrown in front of you. Like if I sit down at a recording session or at a jam session or whatever, and I can recognize the first 5 chords as all being from one key, then that just kind of frees me up and I kind of know what to do instead of going, oh my gosh, there's 5 chords there. I can look at them and go, oh, they're all in the same key. That's a cool thing. So if I have a progression, if I turn on, like if I saw, I mean, that's 5 chords, right? And I might, whatever. But if I know my modes and I know how all the families and all the chords that are related to it, that's an easy one to pick out to know that all those chords are in the key of C. So basically, while all those chords are looping around, I can be going, just playing a C scale. You know? Now, this is the handy thing to know where all the notes come from, knowing a little modal knowledge like this. The tricky thing is that there's sometimes when you're going to kind of want to know specific modes better than other ones. In other words, be able to, and it's really a matter of visualizing the chord tones, the modes on the fretboard. My point is this: say we're playing our favorite lick in D Dorian that we learned off an Eric Clapton record someplace. Right? Sounds just fine in D minor. Now we know that D minor Dorian is the 2 chord of C, right? So if let's go down and play C major. Right? Just trying to get the C in your ears here. And if I play that same lick, sounds pretty horrible on C, and you're going to say, man, that's not cool. It doesn't sound good. Well, the whole trick, this is why we learn the modes individually, because you want to resolve that note. If you resolve it to a chord tone in the root chord that we're playing, C, then it's going to sound fine. Right? Then it sounds cool. If we leave it hanging, so here's the thing about modes. Yeah, just because all the notes are available in a sequence or in a scale doesn't mean they're all the best notes to resolve to. So, from my 100 years of playing guitar, I kind of found there were 3 of the 7 modes that I found usable and more important to know, more crucial to know from start to bottom, which notes are the 3rd, which notes are the 5th, learn my own little patterns in those modes so I can resolve to chord tones. And they would be Ionian, the major scale, Dorian, the minor scale built off the 2, and Mixolydian, built off the 5th. These are the 3 ones that there's oftentimes long jams in. I mean, I think since, probably since John Coltrane, those guys, and all modern fusion and rock, I mean, even all the Beatles, Hendrix stuff, a large amount of it if you hear a minor jam for any length of time, it's usually turns into like a Dorian thing. I mean, there are exceptions, of course. Um, Led Zeppelin, Stairway to Heaven. Of course, he hits that F because it goes into the F chord, which takes you a little bit out of the key of G major. Anyway, um, my point is, if you're going to practice modes, don't be scared. Don't think you have to learn 7 new scales from top to bottom, because that seems like an awful huge mountain to climb. But think of it as the 3 major one being C major. We're actually resolved to chord tones, to the root, to the third, and to the fifth. Dorian, same thing. We're going to resolve to the third, to the root, and to the fifth. Because that's usually what we do when we hear those chords. It helps resolve a phrase to go to a chord tone. And the Mixolydian root, right? Fifth, third. So, 3 important modes to know. And let's take this a step further while we have a little more time here. Once I know all the modes, once I know like C, D minor, E minor, F, G, A minor, and I know all these are the 7 modes that are in the key of C major, well, if we're jamming in some song that we know is in the key of C major, it can be a static C. It can be a static D minor that we know is Dorian. It can be a combination of many chords that are in the same key. It can be any of that stuff. Well, we have at our disposal now not only the C scale, but we can play all of those arpeggios and modes if you know them well enough. But really, right now, you can play all of the arpeggios and turn them into artistic statements, maybe. But you can use all of these arpeggios and triads using your imagination in any combination you want to use as soloing tools, right? So I can go. And of course, if I play them like that, it sounds pretty silly. But if you're in the middle of playing and you're with friends, and if I had a pick, I must have a pick or someplace. Well, who needs a pick? But anyway, you can take that, those were all just triads, but it opened up the fretboard. It gave me all that extra stuff that I could do over any set. That was in the key of C, of course. So I was playing a C triad, C major triad. I was playing D minor 7 triad. Let's play E minor. Right? So that's cool. So we've kind of approached this from 2 different ways. We can either have a lot of chords that are all from the key of C, that we've designated the key of C, and just stick with one scale and have fun just going, because we know to work over other chords. And on the other hand, we've kind of gone the other direction. We've kind of kept one chord static, and we're playing all those arpeggios and scales and modes and triads that we know are from the key of C harmonized. So you get a huge mathematical amounts of combinations of the combinations are endless, of different ways to combine the triads and the scales all over one key or another. And I'll give you one more tip in the next video.